As the Torah unfolds this week, we move from Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, to the next generation, Jacob. Jacob meets Rachel at the well. He kisses her and loves her even before she becomes his wife. 7 years of unfulfilled love pass until their wedding day. And so enormous was his longing that he rudely said to her father Laban, "Give me my wife for the 7 years of labor." What happens? Uncle Laban tricks Jacob, and Jacob wakes up in bed not with Rachel, but with her sister Leah instead. And who said the Torah didn't have every television drama already in it? It's usually remarked, and rightly so, that Jacob was punished because he had previously tricked his father Isaac. Remember, Jacob pretended to be his brother Esau and stole the birthright. And this week, Leah pretends to be her sister. Jacob did it at his mother's initiative. Leah does it this week at her father's. And both of these deceptions occur when it's dark out. But as the great Israeli scholar and writer Meir Shalev writes, Jacob's comeuppance was twofold, not just the forced marriage to Leah, whom he didn't love, but also her fertility as opposed to Rachel's barrenness. The Torah reads, and I quote, "The Lord saw that Leah was despised, and so he opened her womb, but Rachel remained barren." Shalev suggests that this was intended to clarify for Jacob what I spoke about on the High Holy Days but didn't elaborate on: the proper sequence of events and priorities in the life of the Jewish people. In first place comes family and children, and love comes only afterward. Now, for we egocentric romantics for whom the happiness of the individual, what I'm feeling, what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I want, rule the day, this may seem awful, but the Torah's message on love is family first, your personal pleasure a distinct second. The morning that Jacob awoke and opened his eyes and saw, as the Torah says, there was Leah, still shocks us to this day. We can imagine Jacob's anger and humiliation, and of course Leah's too. But as Shalev says, the womb trumps the heart in Judaism. The family always comes before the married couple in the Torah. And that is why the word love does not even appear in the Adam and Eve story. It appears for the first time when God tells Abraham, the thing you feel for your son, that thing you feel for your son Isaac, that's love. And with this week's story, it goes even deeper, because in the eyes of the Torah, every man who marries a woman goes to bed on his romantic wedding night with Rachel, the beloved for whom he lusted for 7 years. And then that man wakes up the morning after with Leah, whose role is to bear a child and raise a family. Not romantic, not always pleasant, but such is love. Such is the love that develops between two people after the wedding, whether or not they have kids, and grows together with the family. If you see it this way, Rachel and Leah, while different wives, are really the same woman. Rachel is every woman who marries a Jacob, and Leah is every woman who marries a Jacob and raises a family. Maybe that's why her name means weary. It takes a while to get that. If you've raised a family, you're tired. And what about our namesake, the namesake of the Jewish people? We do not call ourselves The children of Abraham were involved with the Christian and Muslim community in building a friendship park. And how do we refer to ourselves as? The Abrahamic faiths. But we don't call ourselves B'nai Avraham. We do not call ourselves children of Isaac, B'nai Yitzchak. We are children of Israel, B'nai Yisrael, the descendants of Jacob. Jacob. Why Jacob? As my colleague and teacher from LA, Rabbi Ed Feinstein, notes, and only an LA rabbi can say this, if this were the Grammy Awards or the Academy Awards, of the three patriarchs, Jacob wouldn't even get Best Supporting Actor. He is the least likely spiritual ancestor of the three. He is manipulative, conniving, and entirely amoral. He exploits his brother's weakness, takes Esau's birthright. He uses his father's blindness to steal the blessing. Then, having succeeded in shattering the family, he attempts to twist the arm of God. Let me quote to you. If you come to Torah study tomorrow, you can read it yourself or at home. Genesis 28. This is what Jacob says. I'm going to make a vow with you, God. If you remain with me, if you protect me on this journey, if you give me bread to eat, clothing to wear, and if, after all this, I return safely to my father's house, then you'll be my God, and then I'll give 10% to you. I'll set a tithe for you. What kind of spiritual hero is that? It sounds like negotiating with conditions rather than giving for the mitzvah of giving. Feinstein points out how badly these Jacob stories we begin this Shabbat compare with the epic heroes of other traditions. It's a sermonette, it's not a sermon, so let me just give you one example. Take Christianity, which speaks of its spiritual hero, also a Jewish boy named Jesus. But what's the story? He's born of an immaculate conception from a virgin birth, living a life perfect, untouched by sin. Jacob is a different kind of spiritual hero. He's not born whole or perfect. He's not a hero because of what he is. He's a hero because of what he is becoming. The Jacob story that begins this Shabbat is about to chronicle the growth of a soul or the development of a mensch. He's going to wrestle with the angel. He makes mistakes, big mistakes, and then he learns, changes, struggles. The story of Jacob is the story of defeat and renewal of death and rebirth. And in this process, the hand of God is revealed. Like his dream and the song Led Zeppelin made famous, Jacob's life is a stairway to heaven. A ladder, literally, the Torah says this week, set on the ground with its top reaching into the heavens and the angels of God going up and down on it. The setting of Jacob, though, when he wakes up from the dream, is not like one of those sci-fi movies that's breaking all box office records. No, the setting of Jacob takes place in a setting far more dangerous than the galaxies, far more real. Where does it take place? In the family. He'll be hunted by his brother, deceived by his uncle, manipulated by his wives, and finally devastated by the jealousy of his sons throwing him into, as we know later. In each encounter, Jacob will be defeated, but as the rabbis teach, each defeat deepens him, brings him closer to wholeness, and opens him to love. So in closing, the spiritual idea which Jacob and Judaism offer the world and everyone in this chapel is the promise that any life, any soul, any character can be rescued, elevated, purified, saved. Our prayer book puts it in a different way some of you love during the High Holy Days. Birth is a beginning, death a destination, and life is a journey. And victory is not found only at the journey's end, but in each step, especially the painful and fearful steps. And how is God revealed along the way? Let me just give you the cliff notes. Through Jacob, we learn that every step of life can be a revelation. When you open yourself to the love of a partner, as Jacob will do, when you make peace with a brother or sister, which Jacob will do, when you lose someone close, as will happen to Jacob, and then you mourn, and then you rise, and you live again. God is present in each step, each choice, each moment. Or let me give you the best line. It's from the Torah itself. As God assures Jacob as he begins his journey tonight. Remember, God says, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land no matter what happens, and I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised in taking care of you. In all your suffering, in all your struggles, God remembers and God promises, remember, Jacob, I'm not finished with you. I hope tonight you find Jacob, Rabbi Feinstein, Meir Shalev, all of the Judaism, which I and hopefully all Jewish teachers strive to impart. It's a way of life that brings meaning, purpose, hope, and direction at every stage of life, with God with us every step of the way. And let us say, Amen.